What is going on, YouTube? SciGuy29 coming at you here for another edition of Iowans in the Majors. Today we have a member of the Fightin' Phils, at least here in this year in 1963, Mr. Bob Oldis. Now, here in Iowa, a lot of people knew Bob Oldis as a high school basketball and football official. That's how I first got to know him, through my dad, and later found out that he was also a professional baseball player. And I knew he was a part-time, at least a part-time scout, baseball scout in the Midwest. Based on my time, my dad always helped the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Association has a clinic every year, and well, they have since the mid-1970s. And he would be one of the speakers. He was always around talking to the coaches and stuff. And I can remember the first clinic I ever went to, which was about 1991. Mr. Oldis was there as well. I got to meet him. I've got his autograph on the ball somewhere. I'm just not sure exactly where that ball is located at these days, but I do have it there. But Bob Oldis, nicknamed Bucky, was born on January 5th, 1928 in Preston, Iowa. His real name is Robert Carl Oldis. And grew up. His dad was a postmaster in Preston. Eventually, he and his family moved to Iowa City, where he ended up spending most of the rest of his life during the off season and once he retired. And the high school he played at, Iowa City High, didn't have a baseball program at that time until his junior year. So he really got his start playing fast pitch softball and American Legion baseball. He'd go with his brother who had a town team, started playing fast pitch softball, and played for a team called the Peoria Caterpillars. And they traveled all around the Midwest. Had some great fast pitch teams, and I know this because my dad also played fast pitch, so I would hear the stories of the older guys from when I was young, before he was the older guy, about all these great things. So got his start in baseball when his dad sent him to a camp in Cocoa, Florida. It was a 5-week camp, and went down, and after 3 weeks, he was one of 9 players that was offered a professional contract. It cost $25 a week to go to this camp, so he ended up staying down there. His first team he played for was the Class D, in the Class D Virginia League, the Emporia Blue Jackets, which was an affiliate of the Washington Senators at that time, and got into his first doubleheader when the starting catcher got hurt. Ended up hitting .285 that year with 5 homers, and led all of the league's catchers in fielding percentage. In '52, took another step up the rung to Chattanooga, and eventually in '52 was initially made his way to the majors with the Senators, but did not appear in a game that year. Eventually got sent back down to Chattanooga, kind of got into it with management, not only of the Lookouts, but also of the Chattanooga Club. They weren't the Lookouts at that time, I don't think. But got into it with Cal Griffiths as well. Surprise, surprise, over not making the big club. And eventually kind of led to some issues. He kind of labeled himself as a clown in those days and was considered a bit hot-headed, as he was thrown out 19 times in that season, costing him $25 for each ejection. Funny story, after meeting with the commissioner of the league, a man by the name of Charlie Hirth, he said, "The umpiring's absolutely ridiculous, and you got to come on out to see for yourself." He said so Mr. Hirth did that night, and afterwards said, after the game, that next time, yeah, I see what you're saying. The next time I see you get tossed, it's going to cost you $50. So I'm not sure if it did a whole lot after that or not, but he made his major league debut on April 28th of 1953 as a late inning substitute and pinch hit for Mickey Grasso, His first start came in the second game on May 10th against the Philadelphia A's, where he went 1 for 4 with a single and caught all 9 innings. Later that year, on the 25th, he was 3 for 3 against Harry the Cat Brecheen, in a loss to the St. Louis Browns. Got sent back down to Chattanooga, where the Lookouts, had a good season but didn't win the pennant. He was in a mix of 4 catchers there and only played in 28 games. Spring training in 54, he went north with the Senators as the number 3 catcher behind Ed Fitzgerald and Joe Tipton. He only played in 11 games, 8 behind the plate, 2 at third base, and then 1 as a pinch hitter. He did hit .333 in 24 at-bats. 55, Oldis again made the Senators roster, backing up Fitzgerald, and this time Bruce Edwards. Saw action for the first 5 games, but then was sent down. Later recalled in May. Ended up 0 for 6 in that season with the Senators. Started off 56 with the Lookouts again, and then was sold to the New York Yankees in the fall of 56. Spent 3 seasons at AAA Denver, Richmond, and then Denver again. And then got a return to the majors after that. He said, going to the Yankees was a great break. The organization was loaded with talent, great baseball brains. I got to play with Ralph Houck, Eddie Lopat, Stan Hack. I was on a team that won the Little World Series, and above all, I learned a lot about the game. He hit .294 in 2 seasons there in Denver, .268 the year he was in Richmond. And after that season, in November of 1959, the Pittsburgh Pirates selected his contract in the Rule 5 draft. It was great because he got to go play for Danny Murtaugh, who I talked about in the last video, in this series as well. Because Murtaugh loved to carry 3 or 4 catchers at a time. That year, 1960, I think we all know what baseball lovers, if you are anyway, know what that year meant. He spent the entire season with the Bucks, capturing his one and only World Series ring as a player. Split time with Smokey Burgess and Hal Smith. Spent most of his season as a defensive replacement late in games or in blowouts. But did play in 2 games that year in the World Series, both at Yankee Stadium, both replacements, late innings, and both games that the Pirates won. So, world champion in 1960. His other world champion ring came as being a scout for the Florida Marlins. Also spent some time managing briefly in the Northern League in Watertown, South Dakota. That lasted 1 year. And then spent most of his remaining time as a scout for many different teams, including the aforementioned Marlins. And just a fascinating guy. He also spent time on Saturdays as a member of the chain gang for University of Iowa football games. And he did that for over 40 years. He said it's one of the greatest things is he got to have a front row seat for all those years. As a scout, he was credited with placing 19 or 20 players into the majors. Most notably, probably Shane Raleigh, Bill Gullickson, Jeff Hewson, and Casey Candale. So some of those names you probably heard. He also spent time scouting players in the Midwest League, which in Cedar Rapids and the Quad Cities, which from Iowa City, Cedar Rapids is probably a 20-25 minute drive to the stadium at most on a heavy traffic day. And the Quad Cities would probably be a little more than an hour. So, and there was teams in Clinton, Burlington, and a couple others across the river in Illinois and up into Wisconsin. So, hope you enjoyed this. What a great baseball guy. He, about every level, about every position. And I guess I never did turn the card over. We'll do that to end this episode here. Here's the back of the card. That was a PSA 6. So, hope you enjoyed this episode of Iowans in the Majors. Till next time, remember, collect what you love what you collect.